Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. 72 the architect in the house. How's everybody doing? Let's get the day started. Monday, I created an episode called Why Are We Afraid of Change? Or Why Are People Afraid of Change? And I want to dive right into it, so to speak. And the reason why is I want to do a part two because the way that I left off, I just didn't feel really satisfied because wanted to give some kind of light in which how we're doing things, and how we can adapt to the changes that come to us currently in our processes. So, welcome on in. I'm producing live on Restream to Facebook, Twitter Spaces, Twitch, YouTube. So if you're a subscriber on those channels, you'll be able to see me live. Also, I'm producing live here on Fireside as well as Wisdom. So thank you all for anyone who shows up or listens to this recording. Make sure that you subscribe and like, and we'll be talking about a few things. I'll also be talking a little bit about my process about mud water today. So we're going to talk about changes today and the power of change. Talk about pretty much a lot of different things, and as well as doing a few readings from carefully crafted writings from Robert Greene as well as Ryan Holiday, if I have time. So thank you all for coming out today for Rise and Grind. It's Wednesday. What is it? June 22nd. Wow, June went by, so this whole year I've been saying, wow, it's going by so fast. And that's interesting to say enough. So, anyhow, let's get right into a few things. So, okay. So, I've been telling people about mud water. What is mud water exactly? Mud water is an alternative to coffee. So if you like coffee and you want another alternative because maybe caffeine or coffee is giving you a drag that maybe not necessarily working for you, but definitely something that you would like to do that may be healthier. Mud water for me, since I've been using it for over a month now, has definitely been a plus. I will say it's definitely a plus because I feel that, with mud water, I I don't have the drawdown by 10 o'clock. You know what I'm saying? So that's just it. If I don't have a drawdown. Like that means I don't have to grab another cup of coffee. I don't have to grab a soda. It's a healthy and better substitute. So with mud water, I'll tell you what's in it. And I've said it before. It has marsala chai, black tea, ginger, cardamom, cloves, nutmeg, black pepper, cacao, lion's mane, cordyceps, changa, reishi, cinnamon, turmeric, and Himalayan salt. So it's a great product to try. You can order it about for, I would have to say, what, for $40, your starter pack. So matter of fact, if you're looking and following me on link or YouTube, I'll put a link in the page in the description in the show later in my YouTube. So it comes in a canister like this. You can get a 90-day supply, and it's a great product. But it also comes with a mixer or a frother. So you take your coffee cup, you pour a spoon of it in, not too much, and you add hot water, or you can add it into your smoothie machine in the morning, whatever you want. But the power of the mushroom, I definitely believe in it, has given me a great deal of focus, and it's helped me along the way. And they also have, if you have a hard time falling asleep, they have a night formula, and the night formula is a little different. The night formula is Rubio's chai, turkey tail, reishi, lucuma, valerian root, passion flower, turmeric, cinnamon, ashwagandha, and chamomile. So it is a nice. This one's a little sweeter. This one it's got a nice gentle flavor to it, and I do like it for so many reasons, because I've been able to go to sleep within a half hour drinking this stuff, and I've been logging in all how I feel about all this stuff. So I thought, is this a placebo? Is this real? So check it out. Anyhow, we're going to get into changes, the power of change. And so for today, let me read a page of the Daily Stoic, and especially for today's June 22nd. And I really liked what this one says. Am I actually learning from my failures? And I think this is a big part of change. And Ryan goes on to quote from on his page 188 from his book, The Daily Stoic. He says, Epictetus's Discourse 2.18 says, if you are defeated once and tell yourself you will overcome, but carry on as before, no, in the end, you'll be so ill and weakened that eventually you won't even notice your mistake and will begin to rationalize your behavior. Now, I think that's very, very impactful, to say the least. And the other thing is that I'll say, it's what he quotes and says. He says, it's it's been said that the definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over again, but expecting a different result. Yet, that exactly what most people do. They tell themselves, today I won't get angry, today I won't gorge myself, but they don't actually do anything differently. They try the same routine and hope it will work this time. Hope is not a strategy. Now, failure is a part of life, and we have a little choice over it. Over. Learning from the failure, on the other hand, is optional. We have to choose to learn. We must consciously opt to doing things differently, to tweak the change until we actually get the result we're after. But that's hard. Sticking with the same unsuccessful pattern is easy. It doesn't take any thought or additional effort, which is probably why most people do it. So the question is, am I actually learning from my failures? And I think that's really, really a great question. So according to this show, the power of change, part two of why we're afraid of change. That I think that we get to this level, just to begin. We get to this level of adapting and adapting, and adopting. You get to these things where through pattern, the performance, the results, but that carries over in a lot of different areas of our life. Say, like, you know, you have had a horrible streak at dating, right? And which a lot of people have. And many people have told me in discussions that one of the biggest problems that they have is how to meet another person that they can actually get along with. But those couple obstacles just in the beginning alone tend to stumble people. Now, According to what Ryan was saying, is how do you adapt the change? If you keep doing the same pattern, you have the same beliefs, you keep telling the same story. There's no good people out there. This da 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 da. Guess what? Just like the laws of attraction says, your wish is my command. What you speak, what you tell others, and you tell self, your story is the story, is the reality. And you can't get away from it until you start telling a different story and willing to explore. But see, that's the beauty of the power of change. When we look at the power of change, we got to look and consider that all the new things that are unfamiliar to us and unknown to us can be a great joy, as well as they can be a peril at times. And I'm not going to say that we haven't learned, but the power of failure, kind of like what he was talking about. When we look at failure exactly, we feel defeated. We feel like, well, what did I really know? And how did I really adopt a better situation for myself? I'm at a loss. I don't have a return. But for those of us, in our different stages and ages and maturity, we definitely learn about exactly that. We learn how we can take pride, precious pride in what we receive and what we already have, but also be open to brand new things. And like I tell people constantly, I tell people all the time, your best experiences lie within the unknown. It's true. Because if you kept on eating the same favorite food all the time, it wouldn't be your favorite. If you kept on doing the same exact things that were your favorite in moments, would they really predicate in being the same value? Many times they don't. Many times we feel like, well, because I struck it rich on this one thing, I did this thing, and it returns to me. But when we think about that, yes, it has a return on investment. I gain joy. But even joy needs to have its limitations, a perspective, how we actually grow through change. We can't change or we can't we can't do anything about change necessarily about, for example, as we age from when we're born to where we're at now. 49 going on 50 is where I'm at. I am like wondering, where did the last 30 years go? And trying sometimes to grapple and wrestle with that reality. I'm Am I really youthful? Am I young? Well, of course I am. I tell myself that. But my kids might say the different story. My kids might say, "Hey, Dad, no, you're old. Sorry. You're growing gray hair. That's old man." And how maybe I also agreed, maybe at some point I said probably the same things at their ages. But see, that's a good representation of change, just that obscurity, how you feel to the outside world and your inside world, how you adopt those messages. But adopting the messages as you mature and as you grow give you so much perspective. Like, for example, for a lot of years, all I did was like to argue. And if I'm always arguing, am I really gaining? No, I'm detracting. I'm not really gaining anything that I truly want. And that's where a little bit of humility with change, sometimes something may seem, because it's so foreign and aggressive, how can I adapt to it or adopt what exactly is going on? That's the paradigm. But as I've learned from my elders and sought out my grandparents, my mentors in life, the people that have actually helped change my life in an influence, helped me adopt a different method or approach. Have you ever come across somebody who's so calm and easygoing, and all they do is they just like, hey, they don't seem like they have very much worry. And you say to yourself, I would love to be like that. I definitely want to point at myself in being exactly that. I want to be the calm one, the cool one, the one that doesn't come uneasily hinged or be disrespected. A lot of us want that validation. But guess what? Here's the key. In order to get that validation, it comes from mindful practice. That's right. What do you train on? How do you take the lessons, the things that stirred you up, made you mad, made you excited? How did you put those things in perspective when they repeat? And trust me, a lot of things in your life will repeat. Someone will say something that may trigger you. And a lot of us have talked about that. We talk about the word triggers. I've heard more about the word triggers in the last 3 years than ever before. I didn't even understand what a trigger was until like unless it was a pointing at a gun, but or using a gun. But I mean that's a different thing. But I knew the understanding and the definition of triggers. We blame so much on mental health, but my real firm question on all that is, are we taking our mental health with the opportunity of change in hand? Yes, that's right. Your mental health, how you feel about something, may not be necessarily appropriate to the situation. It's a very, very broad and big perspective. But see, this is the beauty of it all, because I've seen so many things through changes. I've seen, the excitement of different technologies. Innovation scares some people and excites others. Like, for example, the best example I could use is what a lot of kids go when they see a new tablet, they see a new console, they see a new way for video games. If anyone ever possibly took the power of observation and looking at how children and even adults use gaming as learning, believe it or not, how I witnessed this, I was watching a friend of mine and he was talking to his son, and his son is into coding, video game coding. He wants to be a video game designer. This guy's 13 years old. And this guy was encouraging, the dad was encouraging the son to keep playing and to observe the worlds in which he was taking an interactive play. Now, a lot of us, including myself, have put that down. Innovation can be very scary and it can be overwhelming, but it also can be very empowering. Think about it. For a lot of us, I'll give a prime example. I was not able to meet a lot of my relatives in Mexico. I haven't talked to many of them since I was probably 10, 12 years old. And that's a very long time. And the beauty of Facebook, one day I contacted my cousin Alicia because I saw she was related to another cousin of mine, a close cousin of mine. And I talked and I said, "Hey, my name's Jason. My father's Michael. My grandfather's Jose. And I'd like to know more about you. And are you related?" And from that one conversation, it led to 40 different relatives that I did not know I had or how I related. And that was using the power of Facebook. Social media, as many of us like to put it and blame, it also brought opportunity. The power of that change actually really brought a lot of things to my attention. How I could talk to people, how I could be received, how I could build relationships from people in the UK to Saudi Arabia, Algiers, Morocco, France, Austria, Germany, New Zealand, Australia, Japan, China. These are people that my voice, my experience has reached across the globe. And did I ever imagine that? No, not really. The amount of people that correlate their messages with me and collaborate and meet with me are is a great thing. But it also can be very cautionary. It can be very dangerous because now in an innovative age, we look at the value of our digital reputation. It may prevent you from living in this place or that place or getting a job. You may be sending the wrong message personally that may object to your company. So your social imprint is going to be a very powerful thing. But like all new innovative things and old, kind of like what I was talking in the last series, why we're afraid of changes, because the old ways are left behind and forgotten and not respected. But see, that's the beauty of it, is that for me, at where I'm at in my life, I value the respect that I grew up in a time where phones were on the wall. TVs didn't necessarily always have a remote. A dial was on the TV where you had to turn a couple of knobs, maybe raise some rabbit ears to raise for reception. Cable TV wasn't always abundant. TV was a pleasure and it was a luxury. Because I also remember growing up at a time where we didn't necessarily have a TV in our house. We had a record player, we had a radio, my mom, my brother and sister, we had each other. But that's the reality of what change and innovation does. We have the access to do so many things, connect. Think about how many content creators that we are dealing with on all these platforms. These recordings right now are actually going to be a part of my legacy that I will never see. My kids, my grandkids, my family, and strangers who I don't even know will say, I like what this guy says, or now I know more about him. I have a place. Now, not that I'm trying to say that I'm trying to live forever. I'm not saying that. That's not my point. But at least it's a record. And however long these networks exist is how long my message can exist and that people can go access me. And see, that's the beautiful part about change. When we look at change like, oh, the change is just making people worse. Yes, it can. But see, this is where I would like to encourage people to think about ethical design. That's right. Ethical design is so very important. Why is it important? Because it allows us to evaluate as new things come in and old things go away, or they're elevated. We appreciate what we have as we have it. Now, people will tell you, I need to pray to this and that, and I need to do this. But the reality is that those are wonderful things. And prayer is a very powerful thing. It's a very, you know, resonant thing for all of us. It's where we go to when we feel unsafe, or as well as our meditation, when we're trying to create balance in our life. Many of us preach fairness, but to me, I don't think it's really about fairness that we really can get to, but can we as people act in balance? And what is balance? That means I can receive my emotions and I can perform, and I can also coordinate my emotions to the best of my ability for the best possible opportunities. That's the amazing part in all of this. When we think about these opportunities that we explore, brand new work, new occupations, all that great stuff. Have you innovative careers where people don't have to drive maybe an hour? If you went back exactly 4 years, 4 years to this time, many people from where I'm from Stockton, California. Many people commuted from my city 60 miles away or more sometimes to San Francisco, San Jose, Oakland, San Mateo, Mountain View, the Silicon Valley. They'd commute an hour to 2 hours. And now that time is being cut. That away time, working satellite from your home, the access and the power of your computer or your phone, a tablet. These things make innovative creativity a brand new frontier that we've never possibly imagined or have ever thought about how we explore. That's right. Think about the possibilities of how you're going to explore, but use caution. If something seems overwhelming for you, and technology does that, and as well as people with the use of their technology and not using eloquence, education, intelligence, emotional intelligence, is really something that we really need to constantly retrain at. That's right, emotional intelligence. There are plenty of books out there. There's plenty of material, and I've talked about emotional intelligence on my Rise and Grind show before, and I probably will talk about it later. But just to stick to the point exactly, if I'm thinking and I'm believing and I'm acting in the best interest as well to serve others as well as they're serving me in the different endeavors and things that I enjoy, then you know what? I'm living a well integrated life. It's not always been easy and it's not perfect, but the perfect situation is that we have the opportunity to observe, to listen, to smell, to see, to taste. This is the beauty of change. Change brings, so much more than just your opportunity. It fortifies sometimes your experience. All the hard work that you spent in school or you spent in mentorship, you worked under somebody and now you're in leadership. You're the one that can implement different ideas and concepts of how we perceive each other. But see, this is where I notice that, it's kind of like what they say, what was said earlier in the Rise and Grind on the Daily Stoic by Ryan Holiday. It says that people will also fight change because it's a sign of insanity. It's what we contextually grasp on. If I don't know what you're doing, how can I invest in you? Not too long ago, a friend of mine was proposing a business venture on me. And he says, well, my company's going to do this. And under this umbrella, we can do this with your podcast and so on and so forth. But one problem. I was all, whoa, 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 not so fast, not so fast. Did you ask me? No, you just offered and says, hey, I can do this. So let's take a step back. Yes, I recognize this is a great opportunity, but maybe what your umbrella has may not be equitable for what I do in representation of my brand. That's right, a brand. Because when my kids, when I'm dead and gone, they might be able to watch and say, my dad had difficulties, and I saw how he positioned himself in the different things that what he dealt with. And I've also seen plenty of people preach fear of change. That's right. Fear of technology. In the last couple days, when I was engaged in Clubhouse, I've heard many people talk about, coronavirus and the vaccines. Still the same arguments, but they slowed down a little bit. But now we're hearing ramping up reports about infections rising, people being unease. How do we adopt to a world of something that we can't see, but we definitely know that people get sick, and that is a fact? We have to actually look at the dangers, the objectives, the obstructions, the obstacles in our way as opportunities. These represent so many things that what you can do. Like, for example, I get up usually 4 o'clock in the morning. What have I been doing? I've been learning about real estate. I've been learning about innovative, creative activities, looking into the VR world and how people will work in those business spaces. Innovation is a part of my growth. You know, I've got a visitor on wisdom. Let's see who we've got. I've got Frankie J. Let's bring him on up. Welcome in, Frankie J. Definitely appreciate you being here. Okay, all right. Three, two, one. What's going on, Frankie?
Mhm. Hey, Jason, what's pop?
And what is your contribution? What do you think about the power of change?
Well, first I just want your vortex and really bad, so I just get on that.
Oh,
Um,
am I not speaking well in wisdom? Or you're not hearing him well?
no, it's going
Oh,
kicking in and out. Your vortex, you're in the vortex.
well, I'm glad I'm multi-streaming because it's showing that, like, on my YouTube, that I'm good, and also showing on uh, what's the other Fireside that I'm good. So, thank you for letting me know because I'll be able to redistribute.
Yeah. My my answer or my I should opinion to be appropriate because change is you for in my experience were pessimistic. They worst in many and things only means because this A B X will happen and why would I change it because this will happen. So a lot of people personally they're very pessimistic, very and for people like that to change is it's a hard thing
Hmm.
versus somebody like me who wants to change. And unfortunately, some of the people I'm around. So reason why I haven't changed as fast as I because when you're surrounded by them, it's hard to get out of the middle of you know of vapor. I don't know. It's just one of those. Opinion. Most people right now are based on the pandemic or health or the jobs they have hate or whatever. There's a reason why people don't want to change, why they don't follow through. They want to. I know people that change. They want this. They want the great things. They're so negative about what will happen if they changing that they stay stuck in the mud.
Mm.
That,
That's very
in my
powerful
opinion.
to even say because, well, we're stuck in the man. It's kind of like what they said about earlier today. The If you keep doing the same thing, that's a sign of insanity. But also, it could be if you're doing the same thing, you're perfecting your work. So it's a dual-edged sword, in my opinion. When you master something, it's because you've repeated the same process to get better and better and better at it. But the thing is what I would suggest. when we look at change, look at it as an opportunity of improvement from where you're already at. That's it, you know.
Yeah, yeah, great point. And for Jason, I had to and this number's not an exaggeration. I had to detach from well over 100 people, life completely, cut them off communication because of the of that was involved with all of these people. And what I noticed very in a short time, how much more I got. Now I have my issues and I've owned them, and you've heard some of my talks in the past.
Hmm.
I'm, on a right now where I'm up an inch by, inch by inch, slowly, but I'm going positive, end of the lane. As soon as I detached from all of things, started to change in the most positive scene. So when you're surrounded, negativity, pessimist, whatever you want to call it, you become a product environment because if you can't beat them, join them, right? So the worst place you could put an elk got sober is in the middle of a bar
Mm.
because they're gonna
You're
feel
approaching
if I
timing
don't.
out, so I'm giving you a heads up real quick. So
No,
you
I'll,
can
I'll
come
land my plane.
you can come back up if you want. I'll give you
Yeah.
for that.
Well, I got a few I got to take care of, but I just wanted to jump in and my opinion, maybe something to think about. I just myself personally, when I'm surrounded by continuity, I seem to almost fall into that trap until I cut communication from those said people. And with that being said, I'll land my plane and listen to what I have to do. And I appreciate your voice. And with that, I'll land my plane out.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Frankie J in the building. Also, Frankie J, I'm going to give him a personal shout out on Fireside. Yes, he has a show called the Frankie J Experience. So he produces. Okay. He produces live content on Fireside for, I believe, different platforms called the Frankie J Experience. And matter of fact, Frankie, I was listening to you yesterday, and one of the things that you said, I really got to point out, and this is the beauty about change, because I've known Frankie J such a short period of time, and he's been here on Live on Wisdom with me in talks before. And one of the things I've got to say is he even said it himself. He's like, I never thought that, now I have a place where I can go solo and I can produce my content and produce my message. So in a roundabout way, he is changing his environment and the people that he surrounds himself and the things that he engages himself. And that's a great example of an individual who, I've seen just a little bit. I haven't known him a long time. I haven't known him for years. Let me be clear on that. But that opportunity to understand that he took his voice just like mine. I'm no different from he is. We just, there's many content creators, and I want to give just a moment break, but because I'm getting ready to close my show up pretty soon. But Sonia Sandera, thank you so much. Paige, thank you for coming in on Fireside. Mark, I have Daryl. Thank you so much for coming out as well. So I definitely appreciate those. And Mark on Fireside. On the wisdom side, I definitely appreciate Kelly. Hey, Kelly, good to see you again. Anthony Talmadge, hey, good to see you. And then who else do we have? Wendy, thank you for coming in, Wendy. Definitely appreciate you. Dr. Rao and Floyd, hey, good to see you. It was good to talk to you actually the other day, Floyd, about relationships and dating. That was a really good conversation, as well as Malcolm. Hey, haven't seen you in a bit, Malcolm. So thank you for coming out. So as we're getting ready to approach the notes, actually the wrap up of today's episode, because I try to keep it to 30 minutes, but if I have to go to 40, it is what it is. So the beautiful opportunity in all of this is that how we adapt and our situations, I will definitely say, is a beautiful thing. And let's see. Hopefully I can do this. It says accept all. So wait. I don't know what I'm doing. Hold on. Give me. Oh, Frankie J, you are actually over here on Fireside. So can you hear me clearly over here?
Yeah, yeah. I text messaged you here saying that wisdom was the issue, but no, I yeah, so I switched over to Fireside when I heard the Fireside noise, so I could hear you more clearly.
Thank you so much for joining me. So coming up on the last few minutes of the show, and like I was saying, I was giving you a shout out over here for wisdom as well. So if you're on Fireside, Frankie J, just a careful break from what I'm going to talk about. Can you tell people a little bit about the Frankie J experience, just while we have listeners on board?
Yeah, I'll give you a condensed version. Why I came up with the Frankie J experience is real simple. I wanted to share my story along with a level of comedy to make serious topics less awkward to speak of. So for me, my life growing up was not easy. So to talk about that and share, and to get people that have experienced the same things, it's got to be a really low awkward situation. It's got to be an easy comfortable situation for people to want to speak. So I created the Frankie J experience to give people a taste of all different sides and angles of my story and their stories. And my catchline is every episode, every show is a new experience.
Hmm.
It can be a guest from a different. Every guest is from a different walk of life, different level of life, and they all have something enormous to share and to contribute to the shows. So the Frankie J experience is just that. It's just an experience of of everything I've dealt with, and they're involving their stories and contributing to my brand, and that's a little bit about why I called it the Frankie J experience. But every show I have a guest. We do a fun filled different quirky sort of interview. I have Ref Kimbrough as my producer, and along with his help and guidance, we're able to put together a show where people are comfortable with the environment, and we ensure that they will be comfortable by doing pre-show interviews and pre-show giving them a pre-show rundown on how it's going to go to ensure that they are comfortable. So it's an experience. We want people to have a great experience. So if that makes any sense to everybody listening. And it appears, Jason, that you are off the stage here. So to kind of wrap up what I was saying, yeah, we
Okay, there we go. I don't
yeah,
know
there you
how
are.
it kicked me down to the audience, but I was talking for a second there. So, thank you so much for sharing your experience about your show, and for those who are coming over into Fireside and cross pollinating, make for all content creators, we're taking our features to multi simulcast and deliver. So, and as I'm bringing my final notes to the show is, like I was saying, Frankie, to give you a shout out, I've watched you actually change in a few ways, and where you're focusing your power. Because like when people tell their stories, for example, some people, and I'm not saying you do, but some people have told the same story but never went ever leveled up or went somewhere with what they're doing. And I've definitely seen you, okay, as you've explored different avenues, upped your game, so to speak, and upped where you were going to go with what you were going to talk about. So, and that's so many of us when we think about changes and when we think about the things that we can adopt in our life for the best possibility outcomes is amazing. And it's that opportunity. So the power of change can be tremendous. It can be overwhelming, but it also can be like, oh, this has made my life so much easier, or it's made my life really better because now I really can connect. Do you know how many people I've met who would never talk to another person in front of another person because they felt like someone was always judging them? But now you have social audio where people are engaging, they're coming out of their shells, their personalities are showing, and they're willing to explore brand new things because people that are either introverted or extroverted, they're willing to actually see each other and get out of the fear mindsets that they've held on for so long. It's probably a lot of them since childhood. A lot of people will tell their trauma stories and they will hold on to it like a like Linus's blanket from the Peanuts, you know. So it's good to see that people are shedding those heavy weights and willing to explore the new frontiers, the opportunities that they may have never had, or maybe a profession, maybe friends doing something social that never was possible for them. But because we have these innovations and they're willing to, to go through changes and adopt brand new things, these are definitely improvements. So changes are improvements, and sometimes well, they're kind of decreases too, but I don't focus on that. But I also realize a lot of people have talked to me about shadow work and dark and light work, and I'd say you need the balance of both. The light needs to show the objects of the things in the dark, and the dark needs to give the rest of the things in the light. That's just it. When we think about how we're going to process ourselves with other people, because no one is self-made. Sure, you could stay in your house, but you're still going to have to earn money somehow to sustain yourself. You might need the deliveries from the guy. So there's always an integrated process in which we work with people and things. But that doesn't mean that you can't learn from the old ways. Like from our generation, and maybe you might agree with this, Frankie, is we did have to wait on a lot of things, but nowadays we have things that are finger touch. That's it. Hey, boom, 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 payment done. Don't have to wait for a check to mail or cash. Direct deposits. We don't wait for a check to clear. It just goes right in, you know? So when we exchange our services, our talents, our skills, for our ROI, return on investment, whether it be financial or not, or maybe it's just emotional. I've met people, matter of fact, I know a couple right now. They met on Clubhouse. They were introverts. They didn't know how to talk much, but now my friend Levy and her fiance are living in Turkey, and they're about ready to. I think they're going to get married. I could be wrong, but I think the last time their relationship is blooming, and they're very quiet people. They weren't always like loud. They were very reserved. So the innovations of technology and communication have taken us to new heights and great pleasures. So, thank you all who've come out and listened to me. So, think about today as you go forward on this Wednesday. Think about what changes you can adopt, and create for yourselves that improve your life, as well as appreciating the old ways, the things that you had to learn when you were a kid, like reading and writing or whatever. So that's my pretty much my closing. I want to thank you all for coming out for a Rise and Grind. Frankie, thank you so much for coming up on stage. I definitely appreciate you, man. So oh, and when is your show, by the way? When's your next show, so I know, and I'll make sure that I tune in, because I don't always look at my notifications.
Yeah, no problem. My next show is tomorrow at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm going to have special guest actor, comedian, entrepreneur Paul Vato to come
Oh,
on.
nice. I love
Yeah.
Paul.
Yeah, it's going to be a great time. I've been talking back and forth with Paul for quite some time, and we finally found a date and time that worked for both of us. So I'm really, really excited about this, particular show. But to kind of put my final thought into what your topic was today, I got to a point, Jason, where I had two decisions or two options of what I could do: stay on the floor or get up and rise above the floor. Because when you can't fall off the floor. So I could have dwelled and stayed in my past, or I could have used my past as a motivational tool, which that's what I've done. I refer to the past, but I don't dwell on the past. So change is good, change is scary, but change is sometimes necessary. And in my case, that was the way it was. So for me and for anybody out there, if you're in any sort of like dramatic, scenario or drama filled life, just know that making changes could be difficult, but they're also very motivational. So that's all I got to say. And hopefully everybody takes a little bit from that. Jason, you've been, great letting me come up and share a little bit and, try to encourage people to move forward, chug ahead, and leave the past where it belongs. Use it simply as a reference and not an excuse.
Well, thank you so much, Frankie. And that is Rise and Grind. Make sure everybody you tune in on. Oh, wait, no, I'm going to be gone next week. That's right. Next week, I will be out of town. I might get on Saturday, so to speak. I'm not really sure yet because I'm leaving Saturday for Southern California. So I might be able to do Rise and Grind Saturday morning, but tentatively, I'll probably be off next week. So, but stay tuned. You never know. Sometimes I pop up, and ladies and gentlemen, I am trying to work on my website. So, if you are on Linktree, go to HTTPS. Just look up 72 the Architect on Linktree, and I'm going to be adding links, including if you want to order like I was talking about, like the mud water, for example, and matter of fact, I'll show it on the YouTube screen and you want a discount, make sure I'll put it on my link tree as well as in the description of the show, and you'll get a discount. I believe it's like $10-$20 off your first order. And let me tell you, it's a better than coffee to me. And I have one cup. I'm just good. I'm well. I'm calm. I'm not jittery. I'm not over anxious or anger. So just shout out to me. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Anyhow, so that's all I've got for today. We'll see y'all next time. Take care.